Today's symbol, chosen totally at random, is birthdays. Did I mention it was my birthday yesterday? Well, here's what birthday-related symbols mean in your dreams. Birth is symbolized in so many ways in dreams because it is so important. The most common symbol is entering and leaving a building, or even just exiting a building, usually by the front door, but you can also climb out a window. Entering a building, the building signifies you entering your mother's body, and leaving signifies your actual birth. Entering a train carriage, or any pun-on carriage like a horse carriage, is also about birth, or pre-birth in the womb. Physical weakness is often apparent in these dreams. You might not be able to move at all, or you may have great difficulty getting through the doorway. That puts the dream timeline to before you could crawl. Another very common symbol is airplanes landing. There's a strong symbolism in the movement from a high location to ground level. It signifies the movement of the soul from the high vibration of the spirit world to the low vibration of the earth plane. The pun on plane is also significant. How a passenger makes their journey is telling. Crash landing tells us the birth was traumatic. Crash landing in a single-seater fighter plane with the engine on fire tells us more. The dreamer isolates himself, indicated by the single-seater plane, emotionally from others and displays a lot of anger, indicated by the fighter plane, as a result of his traumatic birth. And the trauma is indicated by the engine being on fire. Better work on that, mister. A young woman told me a dream where she witnessed a small plane crash and burst into flames in a field behind her. There were no survivors. The airplane landing means the same as always, a soul attempting the journey to the earth plane. The tragic fact that the baby didn't make it is clear in the dream. Nobody survived. The crash happens behind the woman, so we know this has already happened as it is symbolically in her past in the dream. The plane bursting into flames tells us that this was dramatic. The dreamer shared that she had suffered a late miscarriage 9 years earlier. The fact that she had the dream today means she is still not over the trauma of that experience. Very understandable. Another interesting plane landing dream I received was when a young man had to take 3 planes with layovers to get to his destination. The ticket for each plane were organised by his father. What was interesting here is the 3 planes were required because of how high up the journey started. The first plane flew the passenger to a connecting flight at a lower point on an extremely high mountain. The next plane brought him lower again, until the third plane brought him safely to the airport on the ground. Can you figure it out? Here's a clue. Most of us, when we come here, our ears don't even pop on the flight down. This guy came from such a high vibration that he had to make the journey in 3 stages. He's a very high-level guide. Not many of them come here. What's pretty interesting is how the dream shows it taking time to adjust to the lower vibration. The earth is a leveling playing field. To reach this very dense vibration, you've got to let go of a lot of light. It's only temporary, but you can't be physical here and retain everything. It's like how a diver has to wear weights to sink into the ocean. We can't inhabit a physical body if we retain our full glory. That's by design. We don't wear weights, but we leave the brightest part of ourselves behind so we can sink down to make the journey. Unfortunately, for many of us, we don't have far to sink, and making the journey is easy. What stays behind is our higher self. Our dreams encourage us to listen to our higher self. Indeed, our dreams come from our higher self while we're here, and that requires developing ourselves so we can connect with the high vibration where it resides. In fact, you could say that is the full purpose of coming here, so that a small part of us that is weighed down by fears and ignorance can be freed through experience on the earth plane and raise its vibration to join our higher self. Pretty cool. Earth was designed to be easy to inhabit by souls with a low vibration. That makes it hard for guides and higher level souls to come here. But just like this spirit, with a lot of work, they can. But by the time they get here, they will be as lost as the rest of us. Ha! Take that, high level guide. Welcome to the world. You are now as dumb as the rest of us, and you're going to help us. How? Well, they keep an ace up their sleeves. They plan their lives so that they retain a bridge to the spirit world, usually by means of a very traumatic birth. And when they become ready, they fully connect with their higher self. That's how they do it. For the first part of their lives, they usually have no clue they are a guide. Their dreams tell them, but even with that, they still don't consciously know unless they meet me. Invariably, and by design, they are drawn to something that will eventually wake them up. The second part of their lives is lived fully awake and fully connected to their higher self. This makes their aura amazingly bright. In religious paintings, people who are fully connected with their higher selves are depicted with bright auras. Any one of us can make a full connection with our higher selves on the earth plane. Most of us don't want to because of the amount of work required, but even if you don't make a full connection, you can establish a far stronger connection than most people have. Just listen to your dreams and this show to find out how. Do you like how I've sneaked in lessons into the symbols? Thought you would. Well, let's continue. Birth is symbolized by any movement from a high location to ground level, not just a plane landing. So walking down a stairs can also signify birth. Yes, it's not as dramatic as arriving on a fighter plane, but it doesn't have to be. Last week I made reference to DJ's dream where she and her friend drove a school bus off the roof of a skyscraper and crashed it into the ground. Amazingly, they survived, but all the streets were deserted. That's another dramatic entrance to the earth plane. The dream shows us that DJ's birth was traumatic to the point where she still feels alone in life today. That's one of the things indicated by the deserted streets. However, she used the trauma to retain a connection with the spirit world and bring with her a spiritual teaching ability indicated by the school bus, and that works with groups because buses are for groups of people. She also brought the ability to counsel others, and that's also indicated by the deserted streets. There's so much more in this tiny dream, but let's stick with birth here. Did you notice the guide playing the ace card here? Through deliberately planned trauma, she ensured she kept her spiritual connection because once she dropped her vibration to this level, she'd forget she's a guide. Well, if she didn't already know, she does now. She's the one watching like this. Mouth wide open and in shock. Another common symbol for birth is a party. It doesn't matter if it's not a birthday party in the dream or even if the party is for someone else. Remember rule 1, everything in your dream is you. So it still is about the celebration of your birth. Spirit celebrates it because coming here is so beneficial for growth. Commonly in these dreams, a guide gives you a gift. The emphasis in the dream is that you need to recognize and use your gifts in order to achieve your life purpose. Indeed, any dream that shows your birth imprint will invariably show your gifts, as using them is so strongly connected with achieving your life purpose. The corollary is that if you don't develop and use your gifts, you cannot achieve your life purpose. Did you get that? Good.